Hey everybody, I want to do something a little bit different this time. Clearly you can see that I'm recording my screen. Got a nice nerdy background there for you. I'm going to be even more nerdy by playing this game today. I wanted to try to get away from the serious topics and depressingness because frankly, I'm not in the state of mind to deal with it right now. So, let's play a game. The only thing I should warn you about is during my test recordings, it popped up in a window on the left side of the screen, and I can't figure out how to fix that, so that's gonna be how it is. Sorry if that bothers some people, but it's what I wanted to say about it is it's a bit of an older game. It was released to be a tie-in with BBC's Walking with Dinosaurs documentary series. So it's not the newest game, not the oldest game, not the prettiest game, but it is a fun game from my childhood, and my background went and changed to something even more nerdy for you. Oops. So, I don't know if I'm going to be recording my webcam from my webcam because I can't figure out if I actually show up on the screen. I'm recording myself right now, but I might not show up while I'm playing the game, but you'll be able to hear me, so that's what matters. I don't really have much else to say, so let's get to it.
3D experience where you can explore the Jurassic period 145 million years ago. Your task is to find the animals and plants, and once you have found them all, you will be able to unlock a secret new area. This is your electronic field guide for Dinosaur World. This is the help screen, which gives details of important features.
Hello, Mr. Narrator. You're going to be hearing him a lot, so I hope he doesn't bother you too much. He has a lot to say about everything and anything. So, let's get through the tutorial.
This is the control screen. Remember, all these screens can be accessed from the top menu of this electronic field guide.
These are just your basic controls: movement, looking up and down. Won't be zooming in and out because I can't find the insert key on my laptop's keyboard because my laptop is weird. Tagging a ride is just you jump up on the dinosaur and you follow him around. It's kind of a neat feature. I really wish it was implemented in a more interesting game. Control is your speed boost, alternate movement controls. Placing a camera is something you're going to be doing a few times. When you place a camera, the neat thing about it is when you go to the map,
The electronic field guide also has a map, which shows where you can go to explore the world. If you are ready to start exploring, press the space bar now.
when you place a camera, this icon pops up where you put it. And if you want to jump to a location quickly, you just select the camera at the spot you want to jump to. So you don't have to waste a lot of time running around from area to area if you don't want to. You can put a camera here, camera here, camera in the forest, camera in the crater, camera in the desert, and you can just hop around the map. So that's a neat feature. This is where we are, obviously. News events happen pretty infrequently, but they do happen. I'm not sure if there's an arbitrary time limit between them, or if there's a certain amount of items you need to have before they pop up on your screen, but they do happen, and they will take you off guard when they do, because you're not expecting them to, and they come with sound effects, which is always fun. It scares the ever-loving crap out of me sometimes. These are your dinosaur icons. As you can see, there are only 3. And this one we will only see once, which is kind of disappointing, but that's just how it is. I think the reason there are so few dinosaurs is the computers of the time had enough trouble with or at least mine did. Mine had enough trouble with the low-spec version of the game. This is the high-spec version. In the low-spec, I think there are only 2 Diplodocus in this area, and there are only 2 in this area. So there are a couple more dinosaurs in the high-spec version. This is where we are now. The area you're in highlights on the map, so you're never confused about where you are or where you have to go. And if you poke around, you'll hear the narrator has hints to give about the items you're supposed to be looking for. These are the general ones we have to find, and over here are the ones we have to find for specific areas. If you click on them, he gives you a hint about what you're looking for.
Find evidence of volcanic activity. Discover a formidable carnivore. Discover an armored dinosaur.
And that's pretty much it. It's kind of a hidden object game, but it's not really because the objects aren't hidden. You're just wandering around until you find them. So, with that said, it's not the most exciting game in the world, but it is interesting. I grew up with it, sort of. I grew up loving dinosaurs. I grew up loving walking with dinosaurs. So when I discovered that this was a thing, you can imagine the nerdgasm I had. So, not a whole lot left to say. I don't think the control screens mention this, but if you hit escape, the quit screen pops up right away. So you might see that pop up a couple of times. For some reason, I'm inclined to believe that it's not spacebar that brings up the field glide, but escape. I know. Stupid me. With that said, let's get going. He's got a dialogue dump right after you hit spacebar, so I'm gonna shut up for now.
When you are in Dinosaur World, you can press the spacebar at any time to return to the electronic field guide. This is the Jurassic period, 145 million years ago, a world dominated by giants. The great continent of Pangaea, which used to stretch from pole to pole, is now breaking up. The warm climate is generally much wetter, and there are vast forests, but this is the dry season and water is scarce.
It might seem like he talks a little bit too much. This little nook doesn't go anywhere. Yeah, but this was meant to be an educational tie-in game for kids to the documentary series, so it's a bit wordy, a bit dry at times, but like I said, if you're of the mind to enjoy it, it's an interesting game. The graphics, like I said, hasn't really aged well. Textures stretch a bit in places. If you climb up a rock feature in this area, you can actually see where the textures stop, and there's just endless sky beyond the world you can see. I remember I used to be able to glitch the ground so you could see that there was sky under there too. So yeah, the game has not aged well, but it is a fun game.
The tree ferns are a type of fern which form a trunk to grow taller, away from the competition of other ground-level plants. They grow only from the tip of the trunk, and if this is damaged, then the tree fern will die. The trunk also protects them to some extent from fires, which can be started by lightning in the dry season.
Why are they home so early? It's Saturday. They're both supposed to be working. Yeah, that happens when you find something. will scare the crap out of you if you're not expecting it. So make sure you know what you're looking for before you approach it. Here's our dinosaur. One of them anyway. I said in my test recording that I think the animation still looks pretty good, and then there was a graphical jump, like what just happened there. The neck and tail are still very, very smoothly animated, I think. The legs on these guys are a bit stiff, and you can see that they kind of pivot when they have to turn instead of actually turning. But I don't think they look too bad for the graphics at the time. And like I said, this is the high spec version, so this is as good as it looks. And if I just hit page up, you can see that the clouds actually move. So that's kind of a neat thing that always interested me as a kid. We could stay and watch for a while. I used to do that for hours and hours, but since I'm recording this for you guys and not my own enjoyment, let's go say hi.
Diplodocus are a kind of sauropod, the largest land animals ever to have lived. The prodigious appetite of the sauropods means that they have to remain constantly on the move.
This is what
This giant could be up to 60 or more years old. She's one of the herd leaders, selecting the route across the plains to the next patch of trees. At this size, she has no natural predators. Even Allosaurus is no match for her in her prime. Diplodocus travel in herds of up to 20 animals, a mixture of adults and youngsters. The largest and oldest individuals lead the group, searching for fresh patches of forest. The smaller animals are more vulnerable to predators and generally move towards the middle of the herd, using the giant adults as protection against predators like Allosaurus. As the dry season sets in, vegetation becomes scarcer, and the Diplodocus herds travel further and further in search of food. This puts a strain on young and old members of the herd. The animal's vast muscle bulk means that if they walk for long in the sun, they are in danger of overheating.
And he's done spouting off about that. But yeah, that's what tagging a ride looks like. You can also put a camera on the dinosaurs, and the camera will follow them around the map. So that was the information we had about Diplodocus at the time. I can't think of any glaring errors right off the top of my head, but this entire series, I want you to keep in mind, is very dated. The information in it will be wrong sometimes. If I hear an error, I will correct it, but I don't know if that'll be more or less boring. So you might have to put up with info dump from YouTube. These trees are one of the things you're looking for, so if you wander closer to them...
These extraordinary monkey puzzle or Araucaria trees are well protected against browsing sauropods.
Interesting fact is monkey puzzle trees can still be found today. So this is the Jurassic period, and I believe this was when they first appeared. Someone could correct me on that, but I believe that's true. I believe this is when the first trees like this appeared. Before this, the world was still kind of starting out. We're gonna go in here first. I used to hate this area when I was a kid, but because it's right here, and for the sake of time, I'm just gonna wander right in. This is the forest, as it says. The music is very sad. I don't know why they picked this particular music, and it used to always creep me the fuck out. The redwood textures are alright, I suppose. I've never seen a redwood in person, so I don't have anything to compare them to. And that noise you just heard is an ornitholestes. We will be hearing more from him later. I'll drop that nugget.
Huge redwood trees dominate the forests on this dry landscape. Beneath them grow ferns, which can tolerate the dark conditions under the canopy. Both are well adapted to cope with outbreaks of fire. The huge conifers have very thick bark to protect them, whilst the ferns can easily regrow from their underground storage roots.
The information you got on redwood spruce, buddy? That was another thing that freaked me out as a kid. That noise when you're wearing headphones sounds like it's right in your ear. It sounds like it's right behind you. And back then, I didn't know that the dinosaurs cannot actually physically harm you or your avatar, whoever the hell you're supposed to be. We will never actually see ornitholestes. They, for whatever reason, put the noises in without making a model for the dinosaur. Something interesting, if you look up, some of these trees don't have tops. That's actually pretty accurate. Some redwoods grow unbelievably tall. I'm sure people in California can confirm that. This is one that has fallen over. Position yourself just right.
This tree has been blown over in a storm.
See that it actually...
Despite the fact that they can grow to 100 meters tall,
right
their roots are only about 2 meters deep. They can grow new shallow roots should their roots become too deeply buried by soil. Redwoods can produce little shoots from the base, unlike other conifers. Because of these, when a giant redwood falls, it can leave behind a ring of small shoots to take over its space.
Which they don't show us. There's no ring of smaller trees here. It's just horsetails and ferns and weirdly textured ferns on the ground. I've never understood that. If they could make plant models, why did they texture these ferns into the ground? I don't know. Maybe it was just the computer limitations of the time. Now this is a very interesting find. I'm going to shut up so we can talk
This
about
mound
it.
of earth and vegetation is actually the nest of an Allosaurus. If you set a stakeout camera here, you may catch a glimpse of her. Underneath the mound, eggs will be incubating, kept at a relatively constant temperature. The rotting vegetation gives off heat, keeping the eggs slightly warm and speeding their development. There is a lot of competition for suitable nesting sites like this. Other Allosaurus may come to nest here and unwittingly dig up eggs already buried. There are also predators who would like nothing better than a meal of dinosaur eggs.
Dun, dun, dun.
The mother Allosaurus who made this nest needs to guard her eggs carefully. She will defend her nest against any animal which comes too near. When the eggs are ready to hatch, she will be able to help them dig their way out of the hard earth.
Much like mother crocodiles do. Alright. So what you saw there was me setting a stakeout camera, and if you look at the map, there's that camera icon. So, we'll be able to jump back to this spot later. Oops. I told you that would happen. We'll be able to jump back to here later if we have to.
The entrance to a secondary vent of the great extinct volcano is just visible. This has formed a tunnel, just big enough for a dinosaur to explore.
That always used to scare the hell out of me too, because of the Allosaurus nest back there. That little hint always made me feel like I was gonna run into something terrifying.
Stalactites can be seen on the roof of this volcanic vent. They are formed from the minerals deposited as water drips from the roof.
But, you don't run into any dinosaurs here for a while, and not in this tunnel. I think this area we're coming up to now is my favorite area in the whole game.
The tunnel emerges in a volcanic crater, once the center of a violent eruption, but now a tranquil area with a beautiful lake. The crater catches rainwater, and the lake up here is one of the last areas of water to evaporate in the dry season. This means that the crater is full of lush vegetation, horsetails, ferns, and cycads.
I've always liked this because this is the biggest source of water we will find in the whole game, and I've always liked the reflection. It's always been very pretty to me.
Although the volcano is extinct, it still gives off heat. Steam and other gases rise from the center of the lake in the cool morning air. The warmth makes the vegetation lush, although there is a sulfurous smell to the air. The shrubby Benetatalis are very common in this area. Their thick stems and tough leaves mean that they are well adapted for the dry, fire-blasted conditions of the plains. They are pollinated by insects, and the seeds are then produced in closely packed groups of fruit, which attract animals to eat and disperse them. The cry of an ornitholestes comes from the forest. Maybe it is searching for dinosaur nests to raid. Use the electronic field guide map to find the location.
Well, we could go look at that now, or we could finish exploring around the crater first. There's no time limit on the news events. There's no reason to hurry to see them. You can if you want to, but...
A dragonfly flies past. They are one of the most ancient types of flying insect.
We've only got a couple more things to look at here, so...
Flies are gathering above a patch of vegetation. They seem to have detected something on the ground there. This little skeleton is all that remains of a mammal. It was a multituberculate, a common rat-like animal living amongst the cycads and gnawing at the vegetation. Although some multituberculates were larger and ground-living, this one was a shy creature, only coming out at night. This skeleton is near plenty of water and vegetation, so the animal probably died of old age or from some illness. The crater is too small to support a population of predatory dinosaurs, so the little mammal's bones have remained undisturbed. But here pterosaurs are the only frequent visitor.
Alright, let's go... I think this is the saddest event in the game. Like I said, this isn't meant to be a cartoony game. This is meant to be an educational game, so... they tried to incorporate real events that would have happened back in the Jurassic period. This is sadly one of them. Oh, let me just demonstrate real quick. Jumping to a camera.
The dinosaur nest has been disturbed. There is scuffed up earth and an eggshell. The eggshell has been broken, and it doesn't look as if the nest has been accidentally dug up. It is too early for the eggs in this nest to have hatched, so the nest has probably been raided. There are many small carnivorous dinosaurs and mammals which could be responsible. The bird-like dinosaur, Ornitholestes, is the most likely culprit.
And that's the shrieking you keep hearing, like I said. It's all foreshadowing. Very sad. There is another couple of sad events in the game, but somehow death always seems worse when young haven't had a chance to live yet. But let's carry carry on. I don't want to drag this out too long.
The water that floods these plains has evaporated, leaving just tiny pools. These pools are the only source of water in the dry season, and dinosaurs congregate around them to drink. In times of drought, they become surrounded by dead sauropods as the water evaporates. In the wet season, this whole area will be flooded, and occasionally the sticky mud may trap drinking dinosaurs. Floodplains like this are ideal regions for fossilization, as the soft mud covers the bodies and protects them from scavengers. One day, this region will become the Morrison Formation in North America. This volcanic feature is called a fumarole. It is a crack in the ground through which steam and gas can escape. The steam dissolves minerals from the surrounding rock. As it cools, sulfur is deposited around the vent.
And that's all he has to say about that. Let's do the desert area next, because there are some news events that I want to get to. For the record, we found everything that we needed to find in the moss. Oh, nope, we didn't. My bad. Let's go back real quick. Speed boost. This is the last thing we have to find in the mossy plain.
These rocky outcrops formed by erosion provide cover for predators stalking nearby sauropod herds.
And that's all he has to say about it. That's the only thing he really has a one-liner about. I know there are a couple more things he has to say about the monkey mussel trees. See? Desert. And there's our Allosaurus. And there's our pterosaur. I think in the low-spec version there's only one pterosaur and 2 Diplodocus in here. But I don't really remember.
There is the roar of a female Allosaurus coming from the forest.
Oh, it took a lot shorter time than the last time I played it. That was me trying to press shift for a speed boost. Yeah, that took a lot less time than the last time I played through. Last time it was like, I don't know, maybe a good 15 minutes between the events. She's gonna roar if we get too close.
The mother Allosaurus has discovered that her nest has been disturbed while she was away. She roars territorially. It acts as a warning to any animals nearby.
That didn't deafen any of you. It deafened me as a kid, and frankly, she still kind of scares me a little bit. You don't mess with Mama Bear, especially when her baby's just been killed. Let's go find out about the Allosaurus.
There is a patch of strange-looking sand here, surrounded by lush vegetation. It is actually fed by an underwater spring below. This makes the sand treacherously soft. In the middle of the quicksand is a Stegosaurus. The smell of the area suggests that this Stegosaurus has been dead for a day or two. If you set a stakeout camera here, you may see some scavengers attracted to it.
we set a camera.
This unlucky Stegosaurus was probably attracted to the area by the greenery. The Stegosaurus's great weight must have meant that it became bogged down fairly quickly. Its legs were strong, but not flexible enough to help it struggle free. It probably took several days to die.
Oh, nasty way to go. Nasty, nasty. This was actually touched on in the Walking with Dinosaurs spin-off Ballad of Big Al. There was I want to say it was a Stegosaurus. Yeah, there was a Stegosaurus stuck in quicksand, and it attracted a couple of Allosauruses to it. And it was a very terrifying scene in a way, because that could happen to anyone who wasn't careful enough to watch out. Not necessarily just dinosaurs. Humans too.
This is one of the most famous dinosaurs, Stegosaurus. It is from a group of armored dinosaurs, some of which had spikes as well as plates down the back, or even just spikes. The plates really formed a single row, although they were set alternately slightly to the left and right of the midline. The function of the Stegosaur's plates has been a matter of debate ever since they were discovered. They had a good blood supply, which has led to suggestions that they may have been used for cooling as well as defense. One recent suggestion is that the blood supply could have been used to flush the plates red for use in display. Stegosaurus may have been able to increase the blood supply to its plates, making them flush red. This startling colour display might have been enough warning to put off predators. But even so, an attacker would be hard-pushed to find somewhere to bite, as little bones under the skin protect any vulnerable areas. Stegosaurus is famous for having a very small brain, about the size of a walnut. However, it had a particularly enlarged area of the spinal cord at the base of the tail. Many people have suggested that this acts as a second brain to control the lower part of the body. Stegosaurus is around 7 meters long, almost half of which is made up of its tail. Its body is well protected by a line of bony plates and 1 meter long tail spikes. Its throat skin is also toughened with little embedded bones like chainmail. Stegosaurus is a herbivorous dinosaur. Having quite short legs, it strips low-growing vegetation, such as ferns. The Stegosaurus uses all its defensive weapons to their best advantage. By turning sideways towards an attacker, its plates make it look bigger than it really is. Its thrashing spiked tail presents a formidable problem to its attacker. Although familiar to dinosaur lovers, Stegosaurus is a rare find. There are only around 10 well-preserved specimens in the world. Several of them come from the Morrison Formation in North America.
Wow, that was a lot to take in. I have actually never heard some of the lines he just spouted, so wow. You guys get a real treat. Well, I don't have to worry about what happened the last time I played this game. There's an event triggered at the end of the game, and if you trigger it before all the other news events play, they will not play. You're expected to just go to the secret area at the end of the game, and that's it. So, I'm probably gonna take it a little bit slow. I'm sorry if that bothers some people, but I want to get through everything I can. The forest area, we have already seen all the news events.
The occasional bones scattered around this area may one day become fossils. Fossilization is a very long process, and the probability of a particular animal being preserved is incredibly small. The bones must first be covered by earth. For these bones to become fossilized, they have to be in a geographical area where the ground is slowly sinking. This means that the bones are gradually covered by more and more earth. Minerals in the wet earth surrounding them slowly leach into the bones, replacing the organic compounds with longer-lasting inorganic minerals. For a fossil to be discovered, it needs to be brought to the surface again by movement of the ground upwards and erosion. To be studied by paleontologists, this fossil then needs to be exposed at just the right time to be discovered by humans. This long process means that only a tiny number of fossils are actually found, compared with the huge number of animals and plants which have ever lived.
Sorry, I popped up the map. Oh, looks like I lied. I'm sorry. I said that, the area you're in gets highlighted. I guess my memory had failed me, because it looks like the areas get highlighted when you unlock them. So, I forgot what I was going to say. We found everything in the mossy plain, the forest, and the crater. There's really not a whole lot to find in this game, but the news events drag it out a little bit. So far as I know, there are no actual news events for the mossy plain. Maybe because that's where you are first. But I have never actually seen anything happen. So, maybe. I don't want to find everything in the desert right away. So we're going to stop searching around in the desert, and we're going to go to the dry riverbed really, really quick. Because there's only a couple of things to find.
Allosaurus, the lion of the Jurassic Age. Up to 12 meters long and weighing 3 tons when fully grown, nothing can rival these predators. They are the only animals to be able to kill an adult sauropod.
Whoa, that was loud. I'm sorry, I hope I didn't deafen it.
Allosaurs have a very good sense of smell, and also listen out for the low rumble of sauropods on the move. Although most of the time they will take easier prey, such as mammals and young dinosaurs, a herd of giant sauropods on the move is difficult to resist. The Allosaurus method of killing is brutal. They simply run at the sauropods and take bites out of them, leaving victims to die of shock and blood loss. The sauropods are not easy victims, as their tails are formidable weapons, and many Allosaurus bear tail wounds across their bodies. But once one Allosaurus has drawn blood, it savages others, and the victim is slowly brought down. Allosaurus teeth are designed to slice through meat. They're not firmly rooted, but they're shed. New teeth are constantly growing, which means that they are always sharp.
Like the sharks. Okay, did you get all of that? I hope so, because we're gonna take off.
The young Diplodocus spend their vulnerable early years browsing under the cover of the forest.
I have a cat bugging me for attention who just ran into the wall. But what you made me do, Laura? What you made me do? Yeah, like I said, we're gonna go to the dry river and stop poking around the desert, because there is an event in the desert that takes a very long time, in my experience, to unfold. So we're gonna speed over there.
This sandy path is a dried up riverbed. In a few months the rains will come and the water will flow down here. The river will flood the plains where the herds of sauropods graze. The huge dinner plate-like prints in the mud are those of a Diplodocus. Beside them are some smaller prints with 3 toes.
I know it's hard to tell they're footprints.
This means that an Allosaurus has passed this way too.
Alright, that's all he's got to say about those.
The wetness of the mud suggests that the prints were left quite recently. The Allosaurus could have been hunting, following the sauropod up the river channel. Terrified bellows of an Allosaurus ring out from the area of the quicksand. Find where to go on the electronic field guide map.
Well, we can always come back. This is what I wanted to show you. That's the terrified noise he was talking about.
An Allosaurus has become trapped in the quicksand. Occasionally it struggles violently, but this only serves to make it sink more deeply into the sand. The Allosaurus must have been attracted by the smell of decaying meat. Smaller animals may have been able to scavenge safely, but for the Allosaurus it might be a fatal mistake. This kind of situation is known as a predator trap, as one unfortunate herbivore can act as bait, trapping many scavengers.
You can see these still in effect today, actually. I believe, I'm not sure, someone would have to expand on that, but I do know that there are some cases of predator traps around today, and just so you're not confused, no, it's not that Allosaurus. It's a different one that was spawned just to die. Oh, and our young Diplodocus.
A pterosaur is flying overhead.
Killed
These
by our
intriguing
Allosaurus.
creatures ruled the air in prehistoric times.
Okay, I have to be super careful not to find anything before, anything in the desert before these, there are a couple more news events, and I did say I wanted to show you them all. Damn it. I told you that would happen. Told you. Alright, let's get back to the dry riverbed, because that event is going to take 3 news events to finish, and the news event up here only takes 1.
A huge female Allosaurus has just killed a small Diplodocus, which has strayed too far from the cover of trees. If you leave a stakeout camera here, you can watch it eat, and keep an eye out for scavengers that may follow.
Dun dun dun. Let's leave a camera. And there is literally only one more thing we have to find here, so let's do that.
Water from the volcanic slopes above pours down here in the wet season. Now it is almost completely dried up. Only a few drips supply the surrounding plants with water to help them survive the drought.
There's a sound effect for that, but it didn't play for some reason. So yeah, where do we go from here? We could dick around in the mossy plain for a while, or we could dick around in the desert for a while. But I think if we dick around in the desert for a while, it makes the event take longer to finish. So let's just wander and appreciate the beauty of the game for a while. Some of those news events.
This area is a mossy plain.
Yes, thank you for telling me. I already told him that. We already knew. On occasion, he'll throw out some random bits of dialogue that don't play for whatever reason when they're supposed to. like those shrubby plants he commented on in the crater. They're in the desert too, and
The sound of two Allosaurus roaring disturbs the plains. It comes from the echoing enclosed area at the head of the dry river. Find where to go on the electronic field guide map.
you'll notice we were by the dry river and we didn't see another Allosaurus go up that way. So yeah, they don't interact with us, they don't wander. They're kind of just spawned for events.
This is a male in his prime, but still he is smaller than the female. He's very unwise to push further for a piece of meat, but it has been some time since he last ate. An adult female Allosaurus is a loner. She will not take kindly to sharing her kill. He's very lucky. An unhealed leg injury has made her slow to react. The male has won the carcass. The female is now seriously injured. It is unlikely that she will be able to survive for long.
It says that it's unlikely she'll be able to survive, but she stays in this animation cycle for the rest of the game. She doesn't actually die. But if you see any other Allosaurus in this pose, their mouth's actually shut and they do die. They stop breathing. So that's now the male over there, enjoying his stolen prize. And there are now only 2 news events left to get through. And they both take a little bit. So I'm not gonna go to the desert. I'm just gonna wander around and wait for them to be triggered. This doesn't go anywhere either. I don't know why it's here. Other than to be somewhere to sit and just watch the clouds go by. Oh, 3 news events, I'm sorry. There's one about a meteorite that'll probably come next. We have now been everywhere and seen everything, but we haven't found everything because that triggers the end of the game news event.
These horsetails quickly colonize any damp patches of ground. They spread quickly and form dense thickets, crowding out other plants. Sauropods frequently browse on them, as they are relatively soft and easily digestible.
I don't know why he has dialogue about the horsetails, because they're not an item we can find and they don't have any significance whatsoever. Maybe they were meant to be something we could find. I'm not entirely sure about the development of the game and what might have been cut out and what might have been added on to.
It will be many millions of years before grass will evolve, and open spaces such as this are quickly colonized by horsetails and ferns instead.
He'll just randomly,
Horsetails, despite being locally common, are generally a group in decline.
Yeah. I get the sense that horsetails were meant to be something we were meant to find and didn't actually end up.
The roars of the Allosaurus in the quicksand seem to be becoming weaker. Use the electronic field guide map to find the location.
That's what we're waiting for. To anyone who might be bored right now, I'm sorry. Like I said, this isn't a very interesting game, but it is fun, and I wanted to share it with you. Pterosaurs.
Pterosaurs are related to dinosaurs and crocodiles, but are actually a separate animal group.
I must have walked under the pterosaur. Anyhow. Uh-oh.
The Allosaurus, after struggling violently, has begun to exhaust itself. The Allosaurus's head sinks slowly towards the sand. It will not survive much longer. Its short bursts of struggling only make it sink further into the sand.
Poor thing. If you watch him long enough, he will actually get himself fully turned around somehow to face you. And then he'll spin around again. But yeah, normally there's a news event about a meteorite that crashes right here, and if you trigger this one first, the meteorite will happen before the Allosaurus gets itself this stuck. Don't mind me, I'm just stretching out. Not gonna go over that way just yet, because those are where the last two items we need to find are. I'm probably not gonna wait for the meteorite one if the Allosaurus one finishes first, because the meteorite one isn't all that interesting, and I've heard it so many times. If you play this game yourself, you'll probably trigger it. Not trigger it. The game will arbitrarily trigger it somehow for you after X amount of time. Derpa-derpa-doo, where am I going and what am I doing? I don't know. Sticking around, wasting time. Ooh, glitch. Oh no. Nope, not a glitch. It was the dragonfly. Pesky bastard. He will get in your way every time you walk by him. He kind of locks onto your face and doesn't let you move. Hey, how about we go back to the crater and look at how pretty it is. We're gonna have to go past Mommy. She's gonna ride us. Unless we go this way. Oh no! Oh. Well, maybe we should move on. I lied.
The smaller animals suddenly seem to be looking towards one part of the desert region, as if they can hear something you can't. Use the electronic field guide map to find the location.
The game heard me say I wasn't gonna wait for it to trigger. Game's kind of slowing down a little bit now. I don't know if you can tell. I'm gonna unlock the secret level, but I'm not gonna do what it is you're supposed to do there. Because you just just do it for infinity until you shut the game down.
The Earth is constantly hit by tiny meteorites like this.
Speaking of crash...
Even large ones are relatively frequent, although most of them land in the sea. Just occasionally, a very large meteorite or asteroid hits the Earth. There is evidence from a few huge craters of large meteorites hitting the Earth in the past. One such crater is thought to be on the sea floor off the coast of Mexico. This crater has been dated to around the time of the end of the dinosaurs, although the dating is very controversial. There has been a lot of work trying to match such large meteor impacts with mass extinctions of animals and plants on Earth. So far, only a couple of large impact craters have been dated to around the same time as any of the mass extinctions, such as that which saw the end of the dinosaurs. Some of the extinctions seem to have been driven much more by relatively sudden climatic change.
About that, back when this game came out, not every scientist ever, and to this day, not every scientist agrees that it was a big meteorite that wiped out the dinosaurs, but it is a widely accepted theory. Right now, it's the most plausible explanation we have for the mass extinction of such a wildly successful group of animals. Another theory is that after the meteor impact, it didn't immediately kill them all. It threw up so much dust and debris into the atmosphere that the planet came the closest it has ever seen to nuclear winter. There were dust clouds miles and miles thick, blocked out the sun, no plants could grow, so the herbivores, hi baby, the herbivores didn't have any food. And at first, the carnivores thrived. They had an endless supply of carcasses, and when those ran out, they didn't have any more food. So that's the generally accepted theory as to what actually happened. We don't know for sure, of course. Another theory is that the more bird-like dinosaurs, like Troodon, survived, and their descendants are the birds that we can see today. What are you roaring at? My God, you're so rude. You're so rude. Alright, we have to bugger off to get the last news event to trigger. But yeah, I could babble on about theories and ideas, some of them my own, forever, if you let me. My poor friend Don, he's put up with so many bouts of word vomit, it's insane. I bore him to death. This is another place that goes nowhere. You can't get up there, you can't do anything. It seems like you should be able to. You can't. There's just nothing to do. This is a dead end. There are a lot of these, which suggests to me that,
There is an ominous silence from the quicksand.
There we go.
Find where to go on the electronic field guide map.
But yeah, there are a lot of cutoffs and dead ends that make me think you were supposed to be able to go to more areas, and you were supposed to be able to find more things, and the game overall was supposed to be much longer. Maybe it was supposed to have more dinosaurs in it, I don't really know. Maybe that's why you can hear the ornitholestes. What are you roaring at? Why is your roar silent? Why are you so weird? Alright. I hope none of you are too sensitive, because we're about to see another death.
After a long struggle, the Allosaurus has finally died. Its body has sunk almost completely below the sand. Because it is covered so rapidly, the Allosaurus may fossilize very well.
And that's all the news events. So now we're gonna finish this fucking game. Stego. Stego. You're blocking me and I'm blocking you. Help. 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 What are you roaring at? Are you roaring at me? Are you being weird and roaring at me? From all the way over there? Fucking psycho.
These natural rock arches are formed by wind erosion. The wind carries sand, which gradually erodes the rocks. Over long periods of time, landforms such as arches and pillars are formed in this way. Cycads are a group of plants which are flourishing in a Jurassic environment. They are woody plants with a central trunk which bears either male or female cones.
That is a suspiciously specific looking little area, isn't it? Well, we can't get to it just yet. We're about to. We're about to.
The bare remains of cycads show that a herd of sauropods has passed this way. The sound of a rockfall is heard coming from the desert region. Find where to go on the electronic field guide map. The earth tremor has caused a rockfall in front of the cliff. There is now a ramp of fallen rocks. It might be possible to climb them and reach the top of the cliff.
Oh, really? Oh, really? Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Sorry, I'm just making weird noises now because I'm bored. Alright, this is it. This is how you unlock...
Pterosaurs swoop low over the cliff. It might be possible to tag one with a camera and see the world from its point of view.
This is how you unlock the secret area. You stand right here, and you wait for this bastard to come around. And... you tag a ride. This is actually really cool. I like this. I like this a lot. That weirdo was still roaring at nothing. He's mad. I got there and he didn't. But yeah, see what I mean? You can actually see where the textures end, and beyond them there's just sky. Sky and sky and sky. That crevice over there looks like an area you should be able to reach, as does over there, but there's nothing. You can't get to it. There's nothing there. It looks like there should be, and maybe there was supposed to be another secret area that you could get to. And over there too. Maybe there was supposed to be another secret area, but this is the only one, and this is technically the end of the game. You can stay here for infinity if you want to, and you can go back and you can watch the animals back there all you want, but this is all there is to do. This is it. So
until now, you have only been exploring the environment. Now explore the behavior of the animals by creating your own herds. You can create Diplodocus by pressing S or L for small or large. You can create Allosaurus by pressing A.
yeah,
The keys are explained in the control section of the electronic field guide.
This is it. We did it. We beat the game. Clouds are very pixelated here.
The flat floodplains stretch for miles. In the wet season, they would be giant lakes. As the dry season bites, these start to evaporate, leaving glaring white salt pans. Herds of giant sauropods migrate across the plains, heading for patches of forest which they haven't yet stripped of leaves.
I think that's all he's got to say about the Salt Lake, so I'm gonna, well, you heard the controls. You create Allosaurus by pressing A. Small Diplodocus is S. The large ones are L. And that's it. That's all you do. You create your own birds, and you watch the Allosaurus kill them all. So I'm gonna quit, and I'm gonna stop recording because that's it. I hope you enjoyed it. You can visit the BBC website here. These are the developers. There weren't any credits for this game, but this links to the older version of the BBC's website, I believe. I haven't actually checked it in a very long time, but I do know that not everything on there still works. So if you want to visit, hi baby. He's gonna roar at me. Nope. But yeah, if you wanna visit, go ahead. This is the dated version of the website. You're probably not gonna find a whole lot interesting there. Oh yeah, and the pterosaurs come back periodically because you triggered their new flight path to be much longer. But yeah, that was Dinosaur World. I hope you enjoyed it. Let's see how long I've been recording. Yeah, about an hour. It's not a long game, like I said. So I'm gonna stop recording and I'm gonna upload the video, and I'll see you in the next video. If this goes well, I might play more games. I've got a whole bunch here. Here, let me move my webcam feed. I've got a whole bunch of games here that I could play. I want to try to record this one for you because it's another game that's old and not very good, but it is fun. I might play some Jurassic Park Operation Genesis for you. But for now, that's it. Take care, everyone.